show you my project, just a little announcement. Well, as I got some donations for getting my channel running, I really like to show my appreciation with all the donations I got in this way. I want to make kind of a giveaway. And for this month's giveaway, I chose my UFO-shaped tea light candle holder. Okay, so here's the deal, how it works. Every donation of 10 euros, well, the 10 euros is just because this covers the postage costs. And for every 10 euro donation, I'll give out a number. This means if you send me 10 euros, you get one number. If you send me 20 euros, you get two numbers. And in 4 weeks' time, I go ahead and do a raffle. So I'll choose out of the numbers. I'll pick one lucky person who donated to my channel, and this person will receive this UFO-shaped tea light candle holder I made a while back. As the donations from last month helped me a lot while paying my bills and letting the show running over here, I encourage you to still go over to my website. I put a link down there, and donate to my channel to let this run. Well, as an extra, I'll have this first giveaway. There will be more. Every donation which had been done by now will be in this giveaway. Okay, with that said, let's go on for this week's project. Well, I started the project last Saturday, well, 8 days ago, and I have been pretty surprised as Sid Mendes released a video on Sunday about how he made a economy bowl or single board bowl, like I call it. Well, I had to think, should I do the project? Should I change the project for this week? Well, I thought I'll stay. Well, Sid Mendes made a very, very interesting feature to his bowl as he jointed the rings or the bowl with a sliding dovetail, and I love this feature. But what I did, I reclaimed again one of the boards from the door my sister gave to me, and added some poplar plywood, and it came out, like some of you who follow me on Facebook, with this bowl here. This had been my exercise bowl, and I'm pretty glad that I had the chance to do the exercise bowl. Okay, for the ones who follow me on Facebook, I'll release the mistakes now, just a short one. Well, most of you saw that I didn't alternate these two layers here, the bottom one and that one. Well, this really results in a pretty, well, I don't know, well, it's not very professional if you don't do this. I'm not concerned about the glue line breaking, because this is end grain, glued to end grain, so this is the most maximum strength you can get out of a glue joint. And I think, although I just used CA glue for joining the rings, I'm pretty confident that this stays and sticks. So what I came up with after the practice piece is this bowl here, and you can see this. Well, this looks like it's different woods, but you are looking at the moment, you are looking at end grain, face grain, end grain, face grain of Meranti. So the end grain actually is darker than the face grain. So when I turn the bowl now by 90 degrees, you see that you got the light part now at the bottom, and this is alternating. So this is the way it should go. The angle I cut on had been 35 degrees just to get an extra layer on top, as if I would have done it on a 45 degree, the bottom would be, well, just a point. Okay, so follow me along, and I hope you enjoy how I build this. Well, for the next 30 minutes I do concentrate on preparing the blank, cutting the blank on the bandsaw, and there is little about the turning, except one tip or one thing I found out which works best for me when I put these pieces like this on a glue block. And I'm talking about the hot glue and that in the following, well, half an hour. Sorry for that, but I thought I should add more important information than just showing my skills with a skew or with a bowl gouge. Okay, so I'm happy that you are with me today, and I'm looking forward to the giveaway, and I'll announce this in the end one more time again. So join me on my journey to a single board bowl. I'm using this piece of plywood for the contrasting line, and this board from a door, and this board had been on the outside. The interesting thing on this board is the profile. When you're looking at the bottom, this had been the outside of the door. It is slightly angled this way. In this way, when water comes and flows down here on the front, it drips off this small lip here instead of staying underneath. Pretty cool idea. Never knew that, and I think it's worth having in mind when making something for outside. Okay, now I'll show you how I prepared this for my turning blank. With my belt sander and some 80 grit sandpaper, I remove the old paint. Now both sides sanded, I go ahead and sand this board through my thickness planer to get rid of the weathered part of the wood. I have to see how much I can get rid of that, and any scars I had. I don't mind I don't care about the thickness in the end, as well, I see what I can get out of it. Okay, now that the board is planed down and looks pretty nice. I go ahead and cross cut it into two pieces, and I'm just using this hole here as a reference.
Now I'm gluing the poplar plywood on top of the Meranti boards in order to achieve something like a veneer.
Now, as the boards are cut to sizes, I got two blanks out of it. Well, this here is a test blank, as it got the holes in there, but I want to use this as one piece to actually, well, practice on cutting with the saw. Okay. Other than normal, well, the easiest way would be if you would make a bowl with 45-degree angle. Well, other than that, as the boards aren't wide enough, I'll go for 35 angle. And these half circles on here, they represent the cutting lines. See, if we go down there, it's always there where the cutting line is, and I just mark them with the angle I want to cut on. Okay. There's one important thing you have to transfer it, because as I love to make pictures, well, as I love to make the drawings on the computer, printed out on self-adhesive paper, which is this one here. There's one important thing to make this work. As you want to cut a circle on the bandsaw, you need a pivot point. But as the pivot point is right at the edge of the board, you can't actually put a nail or something like that on. So I just take my biggest square I've got and extend the center line here down to the bottom with a pencil mark. Nothing fancy, just a pencil mark. So this is actually my pivot point, and now computer technology makes me a jig. Well, not really a jig, but you see in this one. This one here is printed on self-adhesive paper as well, and this gives me the idea of where the pivot point is when I cut. So I glue this, I stick this piece of paper onto my table saw, where the blade is over here at this end, and in this way I can use this here as an optical pivot point to turn the piece around. So this is the setup. I I put the sticker on the blade, and this gives me the position of my virtual pivot point, which is here, extension of that. So I'm concentrating on leaving the center here on the mark. So this actually ends up, like you see over here, 90-degree cut is on the outer 35-degree cut is the next one, 35 the next one, and 35 the next one. Actually, there is an error in here. You'll see that because it's not too late, but you see what I mean when it comes to the beveled cut. Actually, the first cut here is pretty accurate, as I did not watch the blade running along the line, but I only concentrated on this point, and this works quite perfect in my opinion. And as everybody had a good laugh until now, I show you the mistake. If you haven't seen it, so the pivot point here on the 90-degree is okay, but if I transfer that to the 35, I don't end up cutting on the line. I end up cutting on the rim here. Okay, so actually I did not count for the thickness of the wood, as well, the pivot point is at the bottom and the cutting line is on the top. Okay, no, not a big deal, as I've got a couple of more of these stickers here. I'm just getting a new one here and align that one to the 35-degree. And to the first 35-degree, and this gives me actually the right points. So I start on here, so this one has to be erased. I don't have to cut on that, and I end up cutting on the last one. You see the pivot point is aligned to the cross here, and the blade is dead on center of the line. So this had been a mistake, but as I printed this on the top, I realized what mistake I made. Should have done this on the computer before, but I forgot about that. So things happen. Now I go ahead and cut the beveled cuts for preparing the blanks. Look at this beauty, just dry fitted and it already looks very nice. So I think if the test piece fails, I just take some sandpaper, sand away on the saw marks and have a beautiful bowl in the end. But I'll go ahead and try turning. I mount the bowl blank now onto a glue block, and I'm using hot melt glue. Well, I just want to show you that it is very important to prepare the blank and the glue block to accept to have the maximum strength on this. Okay, so the blank is actually very flat at the bottom, but the glue block is dished in, like you see here. So in the end, the whole workpiece is running on the seats on the outer rim of the glue block. What I did here, special for this one, I just put a dowel inside the center and turned it down to accept the 3mm hole here, and this is just for centering the piece on the glue block. And now I go ahead and mount this, but before I want to talk a little about the glue you are using. You can buy hot melt glue at a dollar store, but this one here is a quite expensive stick, and the reason for that, as you see here, it's quite flexible, but not too flexible. When you buy some stuff from the dollar store, it would break at the temperature it got now. It's not heated up or something like that. In a way, this acts like a still flexible piece, but as I put the glue into a groove here, it hasn't much to flex on, and that's the reason why I have this rim to seat on. When I mount it, I press it against the block, so there is no gap on the outside, so there is no chance of the piece actually moving on the block. This gives the chance for the glue to hold on to the block, the workpiece to the block. And if somebody else is still scared about the method I'm using, well, don't use it. I had quite good experience in the way I do it, but I don't recommend following all my ideas. This is just the way I do it, and the way my experience are the best for mounting a workpiece with hot melt glue. Now that these 4 quarters are cured, I go ahead and add an additional layer or bead of glue around. And I ensure that I got about a quarter of an inch grab on the workpiece, and the rest is fully grabbed or seated on the glue block, which leaves me quite a good surface where the piece holds on. Okay, here we go. That's it. No, that's it. No, I did more here. Finish on that one. Just ensure that it's hot, really hot. Okay. In order to prevent drops, I just turn it slowly until it starts, not floating anymore. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. In order to test whether the glue is cured or not, don't touch it. It's hot. So take a pencil and just poke into the glue. When the pencil makes a depression in the glue, it's obviously hot. If the pencil does not go into the glue, like this one here, like the new thing here, it's cured. So wait for it until you can't make a depression. Actually, I can get some glue away here, and this is obviously still hot. So when you touch it with your finger, you end up with some bad burn marks. I think Carl knows to tell a story about that. Time to start the game. Well, actually, you're looking at the bowl now mounted, and you can see it's out of round, and I just measured it, and it is 4 millimeters out of round. But the more important part on that is that it is parallel to the glue block. So the rim here is almost perpendicular to the turning axis. So go ahead and try to true this up and get this into round. So I'm just using the scraper here. I take the flat one in order to get rid of the wobble here. Now that the outside is well, roughly round, I can go ahead and concentrate on the inside before I actually turn up the speed and do the actual shaping and before I do the actual shaping. So you'll be back when I finished when I'm finished with the inside, as I can't move the camera at the moment, and then I'll show you how I shape the outside. Okay, I just finished sanding on the inside and on the rim here, and it's time to put some sanding sealer on, as I call the inside finished by now. And I just go ahead and wipe some sanding sealer on, and you'll be back when I start on the outside. With some fresh sharpened scrapers, I go ahead and shape the transition here and the edge of the rim just a little, just knock off the sharp edge, and then I finish on the outside. Time for some sanding. Now you're looking at me doing my way of power sanding, and I use the oscillating sander I've got with this small this oscillating tool with the sandpaper on there, and I just sand the surface with that, and this works quite nice. Well, at least until I get one of these round ones or make myself one. So this is the last, well, final buffing of the surface with the 1000 pad here, and actually I'm quite happy with it. I don't put any finish on it, I just go ahead and part it off, and you'll see that in a couple of minutes, seconds. There's it, I guess. Yeah, it's parting. Oh, still grabs like. Ugh. Here we go. This is it. Now just reverse mount it, and you see even this thingy here is, even this little hot glue held the whole bowl to the glue block, and I had really a hard time to get it off. Okay, so I reverse mount it, and you'll see how I reverse mount it in a second, because I have to rearrange something here. In order to reverse mount the bowl, I have this wooden faceplate. I just went to somebody who tapped in the threads here, which I needed, and this faceplate, I tuned it up, and it's running pretty nice. And I chamfered the first 3 layers, something like that, of this plywood to the same angle as the bowl. And I'm using some non-slip material here. Just put it over. Let's see, get this on, and bring up the life center. And I already adjusted it, so I don't need a lot of pressure on there. And so it's running pretty true. Now just tighten this nut here in order not to get loose on me. And I hope I can still set up, yes I can, set up the tool rest now in order to work, in order to cut away on the base here. So this had been on my test piece, this had been my mistakes number 2 and 3. I didn't have the center point here, so I couldn't really find the center, and therefore the base ran out of center of about 1 millimeter, and this causes some, well, strange cuttings on here, and so I couldn't actually finish the base to the final dimensions, the final depth, so I had to cut it off a little short, and had some trouble here. And the last mistake had been I had some wax on here, and as I did the finish, well, actually it didn't blend in that well as it actually should do. Okay, lathe speed is at 850. Adjust the tool rest to where I want to cut. Use my bowl gouge to cut down here. talking about. See this line going this way, little wavy. On my test boat, it actually had been on one side almost up to the first layer here, and on the other side it had been almost down here. So this is, for my tools, this is perfectly centered. Okay. So just buff out the sanding sealer, and I'm using 600 grit sandpaper. Sometimes it's nice to have a little time to think about, as I almost did the same mistake on this one as I made on the other one, just for the bottom. Well, nobody will see it, but I wanted to put wax on it before I finished the bottom. So the wax would be in the way of the bottom, and this way I would have had the same problem as I had on my test bow, just, well, not visible for normal people. Okay, this is it. Overall, a beautiful piece. And I just take off the knob now, and then I'll show you the finished piece in a picture compared to the other ones. So thank you very much for following me along how I made this single board bowl, and it is really a beauty. And I just want to thank again everybody for donating to my channel, and I remind you, for the next month there will be the chance of receiving this one here. When you donate over to my channel via the link down there, you'll get the chance. For every 10 euros you get one number, and in 4 weeks time I'll draw the winner for this beautiful UFO-shaped tea light candle holder. So up to next week with a new project, I hope. It's with Greetings from good old Germany, your Peter Freitag. Thank God it's Friday.